These are $10 Transformer figures, this is a $25 Transformers figure, and this is a $35 Transformer figure. Well, more like $34. Also, stick around till the end for something amazing. Quick look at the packaging, the figure's right over there, some artwork of Optimus pointing at you again.
Let them come.
Robot and vehicle mode, nothing really on the side, and then here's the back. Here's a look at Bumblebee. I do like that artwork, showing off robot and vehicle mode, and then once again, here's a quick look at the back. And by the way, the instructions are just kind of folded into the packaging, so there's that. So this vehicle mode reminds me a lot of Legacy Bulkhead's vehicle mode. Like this entire front section and this at the top is very reminiscent of it. The vehicle mode itself is looking pretty cool. A lot of really nice detail at the top. I would definitely like to see a proper deluxe or Voyager class version of this. You have some nice silver paint at the front, some nice black paint down here. This mechanical section is done really well. He has fully blue painted windows and not much other paint work going on through the rest of the figure. Over here, this entire section is done really nicely. And the rest of the vehicle mode doesn't look too bad. And then at the back, you can clearly see his feet. You have a tire here at the top. One thing that really sucks though, it only has 4 wheels that actually work. These ones on both sides don't spin and they're flat at the bottom. Also, this guy doesn't even roll well. Disappointing. Here's Optimus Prime next to his Rise of the Beast Voyager counterpart. Now let's get into that figure. I've already done a review on this, so I won't spend too much time on it. The vehicle mode on this is pretty decent. There are a few issues with it. Mainly, these are really big, and I feel like this trailer section is a bit too short, and the feet are obviously visible at the top. You do have this hollow section here at the back, which looks kind of ugly, and you can clearly see the hands through there. The rest of it looking not too bad. You have the Autobot logo there, some blue tinted windows, the front of the truck mode looking really good, some nice truck details all over here, and a little bit more you can see right here. He has the fuel tanks on the side and the smokestack sticking out. Yes, it is a better looking truck mode, but it costs around like $34. Here's a look at the $10 Bumblebee, and it looks really cool. Definitely a much more stylized design than the Studio Series version. You have that nice outer frame in a gray color, the front section looking pretty cool. You can see some of his bits poking out underneath. The wheels are looking fairly plain, nothing too special there, and you can see some of the unpainted mechanical detail underneath there. Here's a look at the back of the figure, an interesting way to store his feet. Like the Studio Series figure, this one does also have a pretty sizable undercarriage, but it doesn't prevent it from rolling around at all. This is actually really fun to roll. Here's how these two figures look side by side, obviously not in scale with each other. And with these two figures, this Optimus Prime is definitely more detailed in the vehicle mode so far, and this Bumblebee figure feels very, very light. Here is the vehicle mode for Studio Series Bumblebee, and once again, I've already done a video on this, so we're gonna make it quick. He looks pretty good and very accurate to what we're going to see in the movie. I think the headlights at the front look really good, and you can see a little bit of grille detail underneath there. He's got off-road tires, clear windows, the classic stripes at the top, and then some reinforced bits all throughout the vehicle mode. Here's a look at the underneath. This is probably one of my favorite looking vehicle modes for a Bumblebee. This Voyager class figure does have a lot more detail in the vehicle mode, obviously, and it is a more expensive figure, so once again, a comparison is not really super fair, but we're gonna do it anyways. So the vehicle mode for this Optimus Prime looks very different from what we've seen in the movie and from his Voyager class figure. I do wonder if this vehicle mode will be in the movie for like maybe a brief bit. Probably not though, but if we want to take a closer look, obviously there's a size difference. The front of both of them are incredibly different. Like there are some visual similarities in the front. It's kind of like that with most Optimus Prime figures. This one has fully painted windows, and the side windows are not painted. This one has tinted windows. No exhaust pipes on this one. Here's a quick look at the sides. This one has a truck bed, while this one has the trailer part attached to it. And I did realize I forgot to bring out the fuel tank. Moving on. And here is Bumblebee next to his Studio Series Rise of the Beast counterpart. Now these two are the same vehicle, just different interpretations for toys. This one has more of that outer frame than this one does. This one has those painted windows. They both have that hideous undercarriage, both having those off-road tires. The backs do look pretty different. Like I said, the feet fold up here, while this one, if you've seen the review, rotate and form the back section of the vehicle mode. This one is obviously bulkier and fits in the hand better because it is meant for children. Now to transform this guy, first let's bring out these wheels, bring down both of the legs over here, then we can untab these arms, bring them out to the side. Just be careful of these two clashing. There we go. Now we can rotate the chest section, rotate the waist around, position the arms, bring these back, and now we can flip out the head, which I am struggling to do for some reason. Okay, there we go, there we go. And there's a look at our Optimus Prime. Definitely not a great looking figure, but once again, it isn't really meant for collectors. Now this guy's transformation fairly simple. Bring out both of the arms, and we can bring them there like that. Next, what we can do is untab the back section. This part right here, we can just bring that up. Now we rotate all this, make sure this is out of the way and doesn't catch into anything, rotate it all the way up like that. We can bring the legs all the way around, bring out both of the feet, and this part can be a bit tricky. We need to tab this section into here. It doesn't always want to work sometimes, which is kind of annoying. We can adjust the arms. Now this back panel, what we want to do is just fold it up and bring it into the doors. And there we have a very mediocre looking Bumblebee figure. It looks like this section has untabbed again. Yeah, this section doesn't really want to tab in, so I'm just going to leave it there. This is called the active give giving up. It's my special move, very similar to the technique of killing emotions. Now back to the $10 Optimus. This wheel kibble up here looks really bad. Look at the back, nothing too much going on. I don't like how this section is just connected to the arms and how it's connected to the hand either. But once again, it's a budget toy not aimed for collectors. He does feel very GoBots-like. I feel like the proportions don't really match, especially with this chest area. Now, a closer look at the head sculpt, it is done really well, very reminiscent of what we've seen. He does look a little bit sad with the eyes, but other than that, the paint job of the silver is done really well, and the rest of the head sculpt looks really good, and there's good attention to detail on the faceplate. You have the lights at the bottom, the classic Optimus Prime chest piece, once again that mechanical detail which I mentioned earlier. Over to the shoulders, pretty basic, but the rest of the arms I think have a lot of great mechanical detail. There seems to be quite a lot going on over here. Unfortunately, underneath it is entirely hollow, hands looking basic. The mold of this section of the legs I think is done pretty well, and then the rest of the legs are also done pretty decently. It looks fairly accurate to his larger counterpart. However, it is once again hollow on the inside and missing quite a lot of paint. He does have a weapon, you can flip out his sword. Once again, it is also missing a lot of paint, but other than that, it looks pretty good. And I do quite like this whole flip feature for the sword. Here he is next to Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime, the Volvo Optimus Prime, and the War for Cybertron Optimus Prime. And here he is next to that Optimus Primal from that Beast Alliance 2-pack. These figures do kind of go well together. I think the Optimus Primal looks much better though. And this does lead into the next segment. If you're wondering if he's compatible with other figures from that 2-pack line, he is not. There's no way to put this on there, which is unfortunate. It would be cool if there was some compatibility, but once again, this is a different type of figure, so not a big deal. Now let's move on to the Voyager figure. Now, obviously, this guy does look a lot better. It's a much more expensive figure. He has a ton of more detail on him, and the sculpt work is done really well. I love how the head sculpt looks and all the paint applications on there. He does have light piping at the back, which is really cool. A lot of great detail on the face, and in this section over here, you can see it through the tinted windows. It looks much better here than it did in the vehicle mode. You have the Autobot symbols on the shoulders, and then some really nice mechanical detail for the arms, and some more really great mechanical detail for the abdomen area. The legs are looking pretty good, and I do like all the sculpt work going on through it. I think the blue paint is also done really nice for the legs. The articulation for this Optimus Prime is really good. I've never really been disappointed from not being able to get him into a certain pose or anything. He's just a really satisfying figure to mess around with. Once again, there is a full review of this guy out already. Here's the $10 Bumblebee, and it's looking... I can't say it's bad, because once again, it's not meant for adult collectors, but it's not looking too great. Let's look at the head. I think it's done pretty decently. It's hard for my camera to focus, but it has some nice blue eyes, some nice silver paint applications for the face. The rest of the sculpt looking pretty accurate to what we've seen movie Bumblebee look like so far. The chest piece, once again, the front of the vehicle mode, just like other Bumblebee figures. This does get in the way and obscure the head a bit, which is kind of annoying. This section here looking pretty good with the silver paint. Some decent detail down over here in the crotch piece. This arm also looking fairly decent, not as much detail as the Optimus Prime, which is kind of unfortunate, and it is hollow on the inside. The hands have some basic sculpt work going on to them. On this side of the arm, you do get a blaster that can fold all the way out, if I'm able to get it. It's really stuck in there. Oh, you're supposed to turn it around. I'm an idiot. I knew that. I'm just trying to film this video really fast.
You are the problem.
And this looks quite nice, actually. I think it's done fairly decently. The silver paint is good. There's some red on the inside, which looks really cool. The rest of the legs, not too much to say about them. It is molded pretty well. I think some extra paint could really make this figure pop more. Back of the legs, pretty hollow. And there is a little bit of detail on the underside of the car. Here he is next to Dark of the Moon Bumblebee, Studio Series Rise of the Beast Bumblebee, and just for fun, here's Legacy Hotshot. Here is the Studio Series Bumblebee figure, and he looks really great. The head sculpt on this, obviously, is done a lot better, I think. He does have some nice paint applications going on throughout him. The chest piece being the front of the vehicle mode is great. It's how we've always seen Bumblebee in the movies. He's got the door wings on the back, which are on hinge joints, and this bit is also on a hinge joint. He has some nice mechanical details in the abdomen area. The arms are looking really great with some silver paint throughout them. No hand rotation on this guy, which is unfortunate, and the sculpt of the legs looking really nice, and you can see the back of the feet becomes the back of the vehicle mode. The articulation is really good, and you can get a lot of dynamic poses. And once again, I do have a full review on this Bumblebee. Now for the articulation on the $10 figure. Not really a whole lot of it. No movement on the head. The shoulders can move out to the side. You can spin them a full 360. Bicep rotation, no elbow bend, no hand rotation. You do get waist rotation like we saw earlier for the transformation. The legs can move out. They can move out to the side and then far back. But other than that, no rotation at the legs, no knee bend, no foot movement. Once again, a budget figure. His hands are 5mm compatible, so he can hold the other Optimus Prime's blaster. It is just a bit tight. There we go. And that does work quite well. Now comparing them side by side, both of them have pretty decent head sculpts. Obviously, this one's going to be a lot better. This one does have a lot more attention to detail on it. The chest and abdomen pieces look very different. I do like the gray color of the abdomen piece on this one. Further down the figure, the legs looking pretty visually similar. Compared to the Studio Series Bumblebee, obviously this one looks a lot better. There's a closer look at the head sculpts on both of them. These ones actually do turn into the same type of vehicle, but as you can see, this part that's on the chest here does fold up to the back of this figure. The doors on this one actually go out to the side. It's really weird how on this figure they just kind of stick out at the back, making it look very unaesthetic. Here's a look at the blasters for both of them. I think this one looks a lot better. And since this figure doesn't have any ports in his hand, he can't hold any weapons. He does have these ports at the bottom of the feet, which is kind of standard for some Transformers figures. So can we do this? Now he's surfing an upside down alligator. I hope that was worth the wait. Obviously, the more expensive figures are going to be a lot better, and if you want to see my review of them, check those out over here.